Hey Warriors, welcome to Empowerment and Illness. I am Gwen, your host. If you're new to lupus, everything can start to feel like a question you're failing to answer. You might be sitting there thinking, okay, I have a diagnosis. So why do I feel even more confused? Why am I noticing symptoms I didn't expect? Why does one day feel almost normal and the next day feels like my body changed the rules overnight? And if you've been in online groups trying to make sense of it, you've probably seen both ends of the spectrum. People who show up with real comfort and real lived experience, and people who speak in absolute, hand out advice like it's harmless, or snap at someone for asking a question that sounds basic. If you've had a moment where you've closed the app and felt worse than when you opened it, you're not sensitive, you're new, you're trying, and you deserve steadier grounds than that. So here's what I want to name right away. Support is not the same as instruction. Community can help you feel less alone, but a comment section can't replace a clinician who knows your history. And you don't have to choose between those two things. You can belong and still protect yourself. You can listen and still pause. You can take in what resonates. Write down what you're noticing and bring the right questions to the right place. That is not distrust. That's self-protection. This episode is for newly diagnosed lupus warriors who feel lost and who are trying to do the right thing with limited energy and a whole lot of uncertainty. We're going to talk about how to sort what you're hearing, how to stay emotionally safe in chronic illness spaces, and how to move from panic scrolling to a calm plan. I'm not here to tell you what to take, what to stop, or what your symptoms mean. I'm here to help you find a steadier way to gather information about your own body and walk into your next appointment with more clarity and less chaos. And if you've been living with lupus for a long time, I want you here too. Not to be judged, not to be blamed, and not to be lectured. Just to remember what it felt like at the beginning, when nothing made sense and you needed someone to hand you a flashlight. Because that's what we're doing today. We're finding steady ground. We're taking the next right step. And we're making room for support that actually helps. Let's get into it. When you're new to lupus, you start paying attention to your body in a way you probably never had to before. You notice everything. And not because you're being dramatic. You notice because your body feels unfamiliar. One symptom shows up and your brain tries to connect it to every other symptom you've ever had. You wake up and scan for clues. You go to bed and replay the day like you're trying to solve a puzzle before morning. That's not weakness. That's your nervous system trying to protect you in the middle of uncertainty. Here's the tricky part. Lupus doesn't show up like a straight line. It can feel like a rotating cast of symptoms instead of one clear, constant problem. You can feel exhausted but wired. You can have pain that migrates. You can have days where you look fine and still feel like you're dragging a heavy backpack full of sand. And if you've ever tried to explain that to someone who wants a simple answer, it can make you question yourself. You start thinking, maybe I'm not describing it right. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it's not that bad. But the truth is, early lupus can feel messy. Confusion comes with the territory, and you don't have to apologize for not having a perfect summary of what's happening. A lot of newly diagnosed people fall into this silent pressure to become good at lupus as fast as possible. Like if you research enough, track enough, read enough, you'll finally feel safe again. And I get why that happens. Information can feel like control, but when information starts coming at you from every direction, it can turn into noise that steals your peace. You don't need to know everything right now. You need a steady way to notice what's real in your body without turning every sensation into an emergency. You're allowed to slow down and build clarity over time instead of trying to force it into a week. This is also where people get stuck emotionally, and nobody talks about it enough. Being new to lupus can make you feel like you're constantly auditioning for care, like you have to present your symptoms in the right way to get taken seriously. That pressure can make you over-explain, under-explain, second-guess, or shut down completely. You might leave an appointment and realize you forgot the most important thing you wanted to say. You might hear a question like, "How have you been?" And your mind goes blank because your experience doesn't fit into a tiny answer. None of that means you're failing. It means you're navigating something complex with the brain that's trying to keep you safe. So for this first stage, I want to offer one shift that changes everything. Don't aim for certainty. Aim for steadiness. Instead of trying to figure out what every symptom means, focus on what you can observe and communicate. What showed up? When it showed up? What got better? What got worse? What it stopped you from doing? That's not small. That's powerful. That's the beginning of clarity. And it's also the beginning of self-trust, which matters because you're going to need a relationship with your own body that doesn't depend on other people believing you on the first try. Marinate on that. When you're new to lupus, online groups can feel like the fastest way to stop feeling alone. You post a question and suddenly people respond like, "Me too," or "I thought I was the only one," or "Here's what helped me get through that week." That kind of connection can be a lifeline, especially when your real life circle doesn't get it yet, or when you're waiting months to see a specialist and you're scared in the meantime. It makes sense that people go there. It makes sense that you went there. But those same spaces can turn on you fast, and it can feel confusing because it happens right next to kindness. One minute you're getting support, and the next minute you're getting corrected, talked down to, or hit with a comment that feels sharp for no reason. Sometimes people assume you should already know things that you've never been taught. Sometimes they read your question like it's an argument. Sometimes they're exhausted and they take it out on whoever is closest, which ends up being the person asking for help. And if you're already scared, that tone could land like proof that you're doing lupus wrong, even though there's no such thing. Here's what's really going on underneath. Chronic illness groups are full of people at different stages of grief, different stages of learning, and different stages of burnout. A newly diagnosed person is often looking for orientation and reassurance. A longtime warrior might be carrying years of being dismissed, mistreated, or misunderstood. A person in the middle of a flare might be running on fumes and still trying to show up for others. So the same question can hit different nerves depending on who reads it. It can sound like fear. It can sound like denial. It can sound like someone asking for permission to ignore medical advice. It can sound like a debate even when it's not. That mismatch is where so much of the conflict comes from. And then there's the big issue that you've already named. People share advice with confidence that sounds official, even when it's not. Some people truly want to help, and they don't realize how much weight their words carry. Some people have had one experience and present it like the universal truth. Some people are so angry at the healthcare system that they start treating the group like the only safe authority, which is understandable emotionally, but risky in practice. Because lived experience is real, but it's also specific. What helped one body might harm another body. What worked for one person's situation might not even apply to yours. And when you're new, you don't have the internal filter yet to tell the difference between a supportive story and a directive. So I want to give you permission to approach these spaces differently. You don't have to treat every comment like a vote on what you should do next. You don't have to argue with people who speak like they're holding the only truth. You don't have to stay in threads that make your stomach drop. You can take what supports you, you can pause on what scares you, and you can move information out of the group and into a steadier place, like your own notes, your symptom tracking, and your appointment prep. That's not being cold. That's being careful. And when you're new to lupus, careful is love. Most importantly, you can protect your nervous system while you learn. If a group is consistently rude, chaotic, or full of absolute statements that leave you spiraling, you're allowed to step back without announcing it. You're allowed to choose smaller spaces, quieter spaces, or no space for a while. Your health doesn't improve because you stayed in a comment war. Your clarity doesn't grow because someone shamed you for asking a question. You deserve community that steadies you, not community that drains you. When you're new to lupus, you don't need to become suspicious of everyone. You just need a way to sort what you're hearing so you don't end up making choices from fear, pressure, or somebody else's confidence. Because that's what happens online. The loudest comment can sound like the truest comment. The most detailed comment can sound like the most credible comment. And when you're overwhelmed, your brain will reach for certainty, even if certainty is fake. So let's make it simple, not easy, but simple. I want you to start a 3-part filter every time you read something in a group. You're going to sort it into one of the 3 buckets: support, instruction, or signal. This isn't about judging the person who posted. This is about protecting you while you learn. Support is anything that helps you feel less alone. It sounds like, "I'm sorry you're going through this. I've been there." That waiting period is brutal. You're not making it up. Here's what helped me emotionally. Support is allowed to be messy because it isn't trying to steer your medical decisions. It's trying to hold you steady. When you're new, support matters because isolation makes everything louder. It makes symptoms scarier. It makes your thoughts harsher. Support is the part of online groups that can actually heal something. Instruction is different. Instruction is when someone tells you what you should take, what you should stop, what you must ask for, what doctors you must fire, what tests you must demand, or what you must never do again. Instructions often come with a tone that feels urgent or absolute. It can sound like care, but it can also pressure you into acting fast because you understand your own situation. And I'm going to say this gently and clearly. When you're new to lupus, instructions from strangers is the most common way people get pulled into confusion and conflict. Even well-meaning people can give you advice that doesn't fit your history, your labs, your other conditions, your meds, your risk, your allergies, your life. So when you see instruction, you don't need to fight. You don't need to correct them. You just need to pause, put it down. Don't let it drive the next step. Then there's the category that can actually help you move forward without spiraling. Signal. A signal is information that helps you notice a pattern or ask a better question. Signals sound like, when I started tracking my fatigue and sleep, I noticed a pattern. My symptoms showed up in cycles. Bringing a timeline helped my appointment go better. I keep forgetting details until I wrote them down. Stress makes my flare louder. I've learned to separate what was urgent from what can wait. Signals don't tell what to do medically. They point you toward what to track, how to communicate, and how to advocate for yourself without turning your life into a constant research project. This is where we tie in the Lupus Roadmap in a way that feels like relief, not pressure. Because once you start sorting comments into support, instructions, and signal, you need a place to put the signals. Not in your head, not in 100 screenshots, not in a late night spiral. You need one steady place to capture what you're noticing so you can bring it to the people responsible for your care. The Lupus Roadmap becomes your container, a place where you track the basics, write down questions, note patterns, and prepare for appointments even when you're tired. It's how you move from "I read something scary online" to "here's what I am noticing in my body, and here's what I need help understanding." And I want to add one more piece because it matters just as much as sorting information. You also get to sort energy. Some threads leave you calmer. Some threads leave you clenched and shaky. If you feel your body tighten while you're reading, that's data. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means your system is telling you, this isn't safe for me right now. You're allowed to mute, scroll past, step away, and come back later. You're allowed to protect your peace without explaining yourself. You don't owe anyone your nervous system. So the goal is not to turn you into a detective. The goal is to keep you connected without getting pulled into chaos. Use groups for support. Use signals to build clarity. Pause on instruction. And keep your next step rooted in something steady. Something you can bring into your real care in a way that helps you move forward instead of spinning in place. When you're new to lupus, a lot of people think the goal is to find the perfect answer, the perfect explanation, the perfect label for every sensation. But what actually helps you feel safer is a routine that works even when your brain is tired. Something you can do on a decent day and also on a low day. Something that makes your next appointment easier without turning your whole life into homework. That's what we're building here. A first steady routine that gives you traction. Start with this truth. You don't need to track everything. You need to track the parts that help you communicate clearly. Because the hardest moment is usually the appointment moment. Someone asks, how you been? And your mind goes blank. Not because nothing happened, but because too much happened and your brain can't organize it on the spot. So instead of trying to remember weeks of symptoms while you're sitting on that paper-covered table, you give yourself a simple record. Not to obsess, to protect yourself from the pressure to perform. Here's the routine. Keep it small and consistent. When something shows up, write down 4 things. What it was, when it happened, what you were doing around that time, and what it changed about your day. That last part matters. It changed my day. It's what helps people understand impact. It's the difference between I was tired and I had to cancel plans and I slept 3 hours in the afternoon. It's the difference between my joints hurt and I couldn't open a jar and I avoided stairs. You're not trying to sound dramatic. You're trying to be clear. Clarity helps your clinician see patterns. Clarity helps you stop doubting yourself. Then we take the pressure off of the appointment itself by giving you a simple way to show up prepared. You don't need a speech. You need a short list that keeps the visit focused. Pick your top 3 symptoms or concerns since the last visit. Not 10. Not everything you've ever felt. Just the top 3 that are affecting your life the most right now. Write them down and add 1 timeline sentence for each. Then add 3 questions that lead to a plan. Questions like, what are we watching for between now and the next visit? What should prompt me to contact the office? And what's the next step if this doesn't improve? These aren't demanding questions. They're stabilizing questions. They move you from being stuck in uncertainty to have a shared direction. And when you leave the appointment, your goal is not to leave with perfect certainty. Your goal is to leave with a plan you can repeat back to yourself. What's the next step? What are you tracking? When is the follow-up? Who do you contact if things shift? If you leave confused, you're allowed to ask, can you say that one more time in a way I can write down? You're allowed to ask for clarity without apologizing. You're allowed to need things explained without feeling embarrassed. Being new to lupus means you're learning a new language, and you don't need to pretend you're fluent. This is exactly why Lupus Roadmap matters. It holds all of this in one place so you don't have to rebuild your story every time you talk to a new doctor, a new nurse, an ER staff member, or even a family member who wants an update. It helps you keep the facts of your experience steady, even when your symptoms aren't. And that steadiness is what protects you from the chaos of the internet, the chaos of rushed appointments, and the chaos of your own fear. You don't have to do this perfectly. You just have to take the next right step, and then the next one after that. When you're new to lupus, you're not only learning symptoms, you're learning people. You're learning which space calms you down and which ones light you up in the worst way. You're learning which conversation leaves you feeling steady and which one leaves you second guessing your reality. And honestly, this matters as much as your tracking and your appointments, because lupus already asks a lot from your body. You don't need a community experience that drains you on top of it. So let's talk about what to do when groups get rude, dismissive, or messy. You don't have to fix the room. You don't have to educate the loudest person. You don't have to prove that you deserve kindness. You can protect your peace with simple moves that don't require a big announcement. You can mute a thread. You can leave a comment unanswered. You can step away for the day. You can choose one or two calmer groups and stop treating every space like it's required reading. And when you do ask a question, you can frame it in a way that invites support instead of debate. I'm not looking for treatment advice. I'm looking for language for my appointment. Or, I'm trying to understand what to track, not what to take. That tiny boundary changes the energy fast. Now, I want to shift into something a lot of newly diagnosed people feel, but don't always say out loud. You can end up accepting mediocre healthcare because you feel tired of fighting. Not because you don't care, not because you don't want better. You just get worn down. You hear it's normal too many times. You get rushed. You get passed around. You get told to wait and see while your life shrinks. And after a while, you start telling yourself that this is just how it goes. You felt that. You're not alone. And you're not weak for feeling it. But you do deserve more than a pattern of dismissal. Raising your standards doesn't have to look confrontation. It can look like clarity. It can look like walking into your visit with a short list, a simple timeline, and questions that focus a plan instead of vague reassurance. It can look like saying, I'm not asking for certainty today. I'm asking what we're watching for and what the next step is. It can look like, I'm leaving today, needing a follow-up plan I can write down. That's not being difficult. That's being clear. And clarity tends to change the way people respond to you because it shifts the appointment from feelings to direction. And if you keep getting the same dead-end experience, you still don't have to make it a dramatic breakup. You can quietly advocate for yourself by asking for a second opinion, requesting copies of your labs and notes, and building a paper trail of your own. You can switch providers when you're able. You can bring a support person if that helps you stay grounded. You can use written notes so brain fog doesn't steal your voice. You can use the Lupus Roadmap as your anchor so you don't walk in trying to remember everything while you're anxious. The goal here isn't to turn you into a fighter every day. The goal is to help you stop shrinking to fit a system that isn't listening. Listen, you can protect your peace in community spaces and still protect your health in medical spaces. You can choose calm over chaos, and you can choose clarity over coping alone. You don't have to win arguments online to deserve good care. You don't have to accept brush-offs to be seen as easy. You can take the next right step with a steady voice, even if you feel shaky inside. Because being new to lupus doesn't mean you have to stay lost. When you're new to lupus, your brain can turn into a non-stop question machine. These prompts aren't meant to solve everything today. They're meant to help you slow down, name what's real, and give your thoughts somewhere safe to land. What feels scariest right now, and what feels uncertain right now? When you go into a lupus group, what are you actually looking for? What are 3 patterns you've noticed in your body that you trust are real? If you can walk into your next appointment feeling steady, what would you want in your hand? And now, a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by the Empowerment and Illness Resource Shop, where we focus on preparation, clarity, and support for real life with chronic illness. If you're new to lupus and everything feels loud right now, you don't need to hold your whole health story in your head. You need a steady place to put it. Start with the Lupus Roadmap, your step-by-step guide for finding steady ground after diagnosis. It helps you track what's happening without spiraling, organize your questions, and walk into appointments with a clear picture of your symptoms and your needs. When brain fog hits or you feel rushed, the roadmap helps you stay anchored to what matters most. If putting words to your experience feels hard, add My Voice Ally. It supports you in communicating clearly, especially when you're tired, overwhelmed, or worried you'll forget something important. And if flares keep interrupting your plans, use my Flarecast to plan your flares reality, not wishful thinking, so you can protect your energy and still stay connected to your life. For the practical side of staying organized, there's the Paper Trail Medical Binder, built to keep your labs, notes, medication list, and the appointment details in one place so you're not scrambling when someone asks for just one more thing. And if you need gentle, grounded support between appointments, explore our journals and planners, including The Quiet Power Within and Getting to Know My New Normal, plus tools designed to help you reflect, track patterns, and stay steady through change. You can find everything at empowermentandillness.com. That's empowermentandillness.com, and it's all there to help you feel clearer, more prepared, and more supported as you learn your new normal. Be prepared, don't panic. And now, back to the show. Before we leave, I would like to close with the special portion of the show I call Healing Heartbeats. This is where we allow ourselves to wallow in sorrow. Give yourself 3 minutes to laugh, cry, scream, cuss, or just sit in silence. Whatever you need to do to feel it, do it. Let the depression in for only 3 minutes. Once you've reached 3 minutes, compartmentalize it and get back to living. This is a rinse and repeat behavior. You cannot let depression take over, because when it does, it will not let go. When we hear about the passing of someone, they have the day they were born and the day they pass away. There is a dash in the middle. It's not a long line, but a short dash. That dash represents your life. Go live in spite of having a chronic illness. Don't let your condition stop you. When you're new to lupus, it can feel like the world expects you to adjust overnight, like you're supposed to be calm, informed, and confident while your body's doing things you don't recognize yet. But being new doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're in the beginning of a learning curve that most people never have to face, and you're showing up anyway. If you've been searching for answers in groups and you run into mixed messages, sharp responses, or advice that left you more afraid, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not doing anything wrong by wanting support. You just deserve support that steadies you. You deserve a way to sort what you're hearing, protect your peace, and keep your next step rooted in something real. So keep it simple this week. Choose steadiness over urgency. Track what you notice in a way you can actually keep up with. Write down a few questions that lead to a plan. Give yourself permission to pause before you act on someone else's certainty. You can belong to community and still save the biggest decision for the people responsible for your care. And most of all, don't let your diagnosis convince you that you have to figure it all out alone. You're learning your body. You're learning your boundaries. You're learning how to ask for what you need. That's a lot, and you're allowed to take it one step at a time. Remember, you have the strength, the heart, and the support to continue your journey. Be safe.